this is going to be another masking and bemoaning, even though I'm basically going to be taking off my makeup today. And we're going to be talking about Book of Blood, which premiered basically this month for Halloween. I'm ready. I love spooky movies. Yes. So, interestingly enough, Book of Blood is actually based on, there's a British version that came out in 2009. This is a version that did come out in 2020. So I did have to look that up because I didn't know that until just today, basically, when I had to look up people's names, because I don't remember characters' names. I could basically tell you what was going on, but I was just like, you know, Mary, Barry, and Sari went down to the graveyard. That's not going to help, because that is not what happened. Let's, remember the characters' names. There are some familiar faces. There is Brett Roberts, and I recognize Anna Farrell. That might be the two most famous people in this whole thing. So yeah, I'll insert pictures and whatnot. And yeah, so anywho, back to this version is based on Clive Anderson's anthology. It is an anthology, even though they basically fit everything in like an hour and 30 minutes, which is what I like. There are 3 basic stories that's going on, and they're all connected. This is going to be chock full of spoilers, so just to let you know, what am I going to be using the takeoff? I'm going to be using the Go Off wipes from One Size Beauty along with the spray. I have a full face of makeup on that I put on for just another video, so I'm going to take it off to talk about this. Okay, y'all, I love horror movies. If you watched this before, you would know that about me, which I say that, but I'm not like super consistent. That's another drag to myself. Okay, the one thing about these is that it does work better with the spray. These are excellent wipes, but it's basically oil, so that is gonna sting the eye. So yeah, we're gonna just wipe off the eye makeup first before we get into that. All right, so another important tidbit about this is that this is a completely different movie from Hulu's Into the Dark series that they do with Blumhouse. They've basically been doing that for a year. Started last year, and they would come out with a new horror movie thriller every month. Like, some of them were actually themed for holidays. Like, there's one for St. Patrick's Day in March, and there's one for there's of course one for Halloween. There's one for Christmas. There's one for Thanksgiving. They're good for what they are. They are quick little movies, which I like, and they have been having interesting twists on things. Okay. Like I said, the movie is about the book. Okay, and this, like I said, going back into spoilers. I have notes. We open up with Bennett and Sam. Bennett and Sam are 2 con men. Bennett and Sam, we see Bennett, he's the main baddie. You kind of don't understand what's going on. He basically walks up to what seems to be just a bookstore. Like, in a sleepy little town, like, of course the town looks a little creepy, but not so much. It's just because it's night. It's not anything that would make me think that was going on. You don't have to rub this in, I just do. Yeah. It's just like your typical kind of New England, sleepy little small town, and this is like the one bookstore in the town square. And we see an old man running. And of course, Bennett is the one that catches up to him. We never know the shopkeeper's name. Apparently he owes money. It was just like, but this city's not big enough for it to be like, this is the mob or something, so I don't know how much money he really could owe in this town. But anywho, he tells him, hey, I can give you more time, but all you need to do, I'll tell you where to find the Book of Blood. The Book of Blood is super valuable, this, that, and the third. And of course, he lets this man get his whole spiel out. He kills him anyway. And then he's speeding off in his lime green, very, conspicuous, do this again, sports car. Him and his friend, his partner, not Sam, Steve. I should remember that. That's my brother's name. But anywho, Sam is another character. That's why I got him confused. Okay, so Bennett and Steve, and we get into our first tale that we see is about Jenna. Jenna appears to be, because they speed off. Now you're like, how does this connect? It will connect in a moment. Jenna, we cut to Jenna. Jenna apparently has some sort of mental problems. It's never quite expressed what exactly she has, or yeah. So anywho, she's with her parents. Her parents are at their. My mom was saying that she actually thought that her parents seemed kind of mean, but in my observation, her parents seemed like she was at the wit's end. Something happened at the institute that she was in. Another patient died. They connected Jenna to it. You don't know at this point whether she had anything to do with it, but insert how you feel there. Yeah, but anywho, she hears voices. She is afraid, like any kind of sound gives her like a tick, to the point that she has to wear like noise canceling headphones all the time. But she hears her parents talking about that they're gonna recommit her, so she decides to run away. Okay, so and she ends up in this, which we don't know at the time, same sleepy town as Steve and Bennett robbed. Well, mostly Bennett, killed the bookkeeper, the bookstore. Man, like again, we just know that he owes him some money, but like that's the one part that didn't make sense. It's just like, also, this is a small town. How many people were really, how much money was he really gonna make, buying books? So she runs away in the night. She takes money. Of course, stuff is like built up that because that she's has some kind of mental something. You see her with a pair of scissors. I thought at first she was going to kill her parents. No, she was just breaking into the safe. So anywho, she goes out. She ends up in the same sleepy town. She stays at this bed and breakfast run by Ellie and Steve, and it is also refreshing to see that like one of the main antagonists is a little Asian lady named Ellen, who she used to be a nurse, and her husband does some sort of woodwork. So very nice, very sweet people on the surface. But of course, with all that, and she's hearing things. She thinks that she's hearing things. She's hearing scratching in the wall. Jenna thinks that she's hearing things, scratching in the wall, buzz coming out. She thinks that it's all being made up. Well, come to find out, no, because Ellie is cuckoo bananas. Ellie and Sam, apparently, they take people. Cause she used to work with mental patients too, and they just want to stop hearing the noise, stop seeing things. So what she would do is basically remove their senses, sew up the ears, cut them off, sew up, the ears, take out the eyes, take out your tongue. So for people that she would kind of prey on people that wanted to be kind of numb. Because of course Jenna's dealing with this guilt because, she did actually have something to do with that person dying. Which we don't find that out to the end. Like I said, this is going to be chock full of spoilers. But Ellie and Sam got all kind of people in the floor and in the walls of this, quaint little bed and breakfast, and including her. She did that to her own daughter and grandkids. So cuckoo bananas. And another part of the story is that Jenna thinks somebody is chasing her, but it turns out to be the father of the guy that she basically helped facilitate his suicide. That is the best I can sum that up. It turned out to be he was just looking to talk to her. He wasn't trying to like hem her up. He just wanted to understand what's going on, as a parent does. But she escapes from this bed and breakfast. The father ends up dying, even though he looks creepy, so you think that he's an antagonist, but no, he just wants answers about his kid. And he gets killed. He was not planned to be killed. So Ellie and Sam actually take the car and drive him off of the edge into like a quarry, like a rock quarry. So it looks like he just had an accident, and of course Jenna is in the backseat. We leave that, and then we go to Mary and Simon. Mary is her son is sick. Her son has leukemia. He's about 7. And she's a doctor. She's one of those doctors that it's like a myth buster doctor. Like she doesn't believe in like clairvoyance and stuff like that. And of course that's how we meet Simon. Simon is claiming that he is a clairvoyant, and he comes into her life after her son eventually dies from leukemia. And it kind of turns, it's like he says, yeah, like a clairvoyant is a person that can communicate with the dead. So when we see him, he's like, he needs complete silence, and he has to be naked so the dead can talk through him. Okay, so, and there's always people witnessing it, so it is always like a big to-do. So it takes like maybe a couple of minutes for it to happen. You hear these crazy voices, like it's multiple people, and then by the time he turned the lights back on, there's all kind of names written on the wall in blood, and then Simon is like having a tiny seizure. Okay, so of course this makes Mary the skeptic of believer. She's just science down, and she's a well-known, respected doctor and a person that likes to again, myth bust. So Mary and of course he tugs on Mary's heartstrings, because one of the things on the wall that says, "Mommy, I'm still here." And and Mary was living for her son. She was the only one that took care of her son. So time passes, we get a little time flip, and she's basically making Simon this star, or she's basically trying to get like grants to get this thing up and going, because like she's an actual doctor. She's like, and she knows how this helped her with like the passing of her son. She wants to help these other people. So, but it turns out, she's getting investors, like big to do, raising money. But it turns out after this big shindig at her house, because of course now Simon and her are lovers, they moved in and they have started this together. Of course, Mary was trying to actually do the right thing as a doctor and to really help people, but it turns out that Simon is just another con man. Simon breaks down how he faked all of this, and then he got all the information about her son, because she was like, she didn't believe it, of course, because there was no way that he could know the things about her sick child that he did. But it turns out that her ex-husband, who you see at the beginning of the tale with Mary and Simon, is he has been in and out of rehab. He just came around to ask for money even when their kid was dying. So yeah, so that was part of the con. So and then something happens. Of course, she's like devastated. And he told all this information while he was under the influence. Like, he's been to rehab several times. Simon has been in and out of jail, and this, that, and the third. And of course, Mary is devastated, because she really thought that she was going to be able to communicate with her child. But it turns out her son is still very much in the house. So he communicates, and basically it's like, "I never left you, Mommy, and I'm worried about you." So she was like, "We're gonna do it one last time to get it together." And they go through the whole spiel. She locks Simon in her son's bedroom like it normally does, like why he has to strip naked or whatever. So, but this time, everything that happens and I'll insert pictures, because I was like, I really can't explain. It's like the messages from the dead are being written on Simon's body. Turns out, ding ding ding, a spoiler, the biggest one, Simon is the Book of Blood. And that is actually, the Book of Blood is the stories of the dead. The dead have tons of stories, and it's of course excruciating, and they obviously did not like that Simon had been lying the whole time. So yeah, that is the main reveal. And anyway, so that goes out. I mean, Simon loses all his hair. They take out all his hair. I mean, eyelash by eyelash, leg hair by leg hair, everything. And he's just covered in messages and scars from the messages from the dead. Bomb. I was like, ooh, I like it. And then we cut on back, going back. What is the beginning is the end. We cut on back to Bennett and Steve. They obviously go see the Book of Blood because they think they're finding a book. They end up and they break into Mary's house where she's sitting there with now a mutilated Simon who has now he's never going to recover from the writings of the dead. So he is just a bald, scarred up man. He looks horrific, and she's dressed, and it's just like, I'm not even sure when this time period is, but it's very, she's dressed very, you know, early 1900s. It's the collar thing she had on that was very weird. I was like, but we were clearly like in 2019 at least, you know, when we saw her story. It wasn't that far away, so whatever happened. But it's in the same town. Bennett and Steve, something drags Steve off. Steve's gone. Some kind of spirit. It's like the dead have taken over this town. And he runs in Mary's house when, of course, he's disappointed because the Book of Blood is a person, and it's just like, you can't drag that around and try to sell that to anybody. And then he's a white man too. It's not gonna happen. Yeah. So, and Mary just tells him, oh yeah, the dead spoke about you, and you see Bennett's name on his body. That means, you know, you're about to be dead. Your time is coming up. And then Bennett's like, I ain't gonna die here. He's like, whatever. And then of course, Bennett runs into Ellie and Sam, and he stumbles into their yard. He interrupts while they are in the middle of their tradition of just, you know, taking out the senses of people. That's what the best I can describe it, you know, tongue, eyes, ears, like we described. And they see, so of course, you know, they got to kill Bennett. I mean, in no better form, because he's a con man, and he had just randomly killing people in the beginning. So there's that. And then our last shot is that it ends with Jenna, because it turns out, because you do feel some empathy. You think that she's like gotten away from Steve and from Sam and Ellie. Turns out again that it ends with Jenna, because it's basically started with Jenna. The crux of the story started with Jenna. She did have something to do with that she's basically like telling him, you need to jump and stop being a coward, this, that, and the third. And he kills himself out there on the phone with each other. And the guilt is not that she is crazy. The guilt is eating her up. So those are the voices that she hears. And she doesn't want to feel that anymore. So she, after all they go through, because like her parents have reported her missing, they actually tried to get her together. You know, she tries to get back to her normal life, but she can still hear those things going around in her head. And she ends up going back to, you know, Steve and Sam and Ellie. And she gets put into the floorboards to join the rest of the family. You know, because like Ellie was like, she doesn't even see this as her killing people. She sees it like a service. Like she's giving people relief. And that's basically the whole thing. That is the spoilers and all. It is interesting. Was this scary? No. Creepy? Yes. I will also say, and it was entertaining. So I actually liked the spin. I have not seen the original one. I have not read the book. Now that I know that it's a book that I just found out today, that might be something that I would want to read. I will say on the scale of scary, I'll just say scary is relative to you. Of course, it's not like a silly Halloween movie. Like Hocus Pocus isn't scary. The new Adam Sandler movie, which is silly, isn't scary, but that's fine. Like I like a good silly, like Halloween Town isn't scary. You know, it's not even like, even if it has sinister stuff, it's not even like terrible. So I don't mind a little comedy in my Fright. Like I like Fright Night. I like both versions of Fright Night, but they're both funny. Like in some part, it's just like, you know, it's not a straight up horror film. I like that, and I also like that this was entertaining because I do like the story, the background, and what actually happens. It seems like people getting their comeuppance, and that you can't beat your inner demons, especially when you do certain things that contributed to this. You can't fight fate, and spoke of karma. So this was actually good. It's not, you know, like I said, it wasn't scary, but being scared is relative. That's just like, personally, I didn't find The Exorcist to be scary, but I was not alive when The Exorcist first came out. When The Exorcist first came out, you know, that no one has seen anything like that. So that plays into it. Now, I do not like things, I like to watch it, but the things that disturb me the most, or kind of like make me feel uneasy, I don't like stuff about, I like to watch it, but I don't like, it can't be the last thing I watch. Just something that kind of scared me, like stuff about demonic possession and stuff like that. Because I think that spirits are real, even though I'm not like, ooh, you know, it's not like a Scooby-Doo special. So it's not anything like that. But yeah, so like I think that there are spirits in the world, good and evil. I don't like to play with spirits. That's why you won't see your girl playing with a Ouija board. Okay, so yeah, but like, back to, you know, stuff being scary versus disturbing. Like I wasn't scared of The Exorcist. The Exorcist, of course, was well done and way ahead of its time. But you know, the generation that I came up in, I'm in my early 30s, that we had seen a lot of things. There have been technological advances with everything, so you know, film is not even the same. But even for that to be made in the 70s, you know, it's still disturbing. So I don't mind to be disturbed, or I like a good storyline. That's just like one of my favorite movies is also Silver Bullet. I've talked about it before. But is it scary? No. I like werewolves, but it's hard for whatever. Werewolves don't look great on film. I still haven't seen one where I'm like, ooh, you know, scary. But I love Silver Bullet. Like, it has comedy, has a good backstory, you know, the twist or whatever is good. I actually need to read that original story. It's a novelette by Stephen King. Yeah, so that is my review. What would I give this out of 5 stars, Book of Blood? I would actually give it like 4. Yeah, like 4, a good solid 4. Could be scarier. I like the way it was done. I thought the actors were good. Yeah. And I said, am I taking the star away because it's a remake, even though I just found out that information? Like, no, it's good for what it was. And I'll talk about some other scary stuff on the on here. Because I've been watching stuff. I'm currently watching Blythe Manor. I'm in the middle of it. I'm watching Lovecraft Country, which is one more episode of that. So I'll give my general review of that. We'll talk about that. There are all kind of pages. I'm not doing all that. Yeah. And like, even if you want to talk about Herbie's, you know, Adam Sandler's like Herbie's Halloween or whatever, Hoobie's or something, whatever his name is, Halloween. Yeah, I'll talk about that in Monsterland. There's a lot of stuff, and like Amazon, all the streaming platforms are having Halloween stuff, so it's good. Okay, I'm rambling, but hope you guys like this. I'm probably about to jump in the shower. Y'all have a good, blessed rest of the day. Remember, Nessie loves you, and let's get into some more scary movies. Bye.